All right, today we're diving into a really powerful and maybe even a little counterintuitive way of looking at attraction. And here's the thing, it has nothing to do with tactics or performance. It's all about the actual structure of your life.
So let's just kick things off with a question that kind of flips everything on its head. What if all that stuff you've been taught your whole life, about earning desire, about having to prove your worth, what if it's all just fundamentally wrong? Okay, so look at this. On the left, you've got the common belief, right? The idea that you attract people by trying really hard, by accommodating them, by constantly reassuring them. But here's the problem. That usually just gets you compliance, not real, genuine desire. Now look at the right side. This is what we're calling the natural law. It says that real attraction isn't something you convince someone of. It's an involuntary response to a person who's already moving forward, who has their own direction, and who feels complete all on their own.
And that brings us right to our first section, the attraction fallacy. We're going to dig into why trying so hard to create attraction is the very thing that so often makes it backfire.
So here's the critical part you have to get. When you're chasing someone, or you're always explaining yourself, or you're bending over backwards to accommodate them, what you're really doing is signaling neediness. And yeah, that might get you some politeness. That's the compliance we talked about. But it absolutely suffocates any chance of real, raw desire.
Man, this quote just nails it, doesn't it? Attraction does not reward what begs to be kept. It responds to what is already moving forward without permission. It's not some prize you get for being good. It's a natural pull towards someone who is already going somewhere with or without anyone else's permission.
Okay, so if chasing is a dead end, what's the alternative? Well, that brings us to the core solution here, making a mission your actual center of gravity. Now, when we say mission, I want you to get any ideas of cheesy motivational posters out of your head. This is about something structural. It's a life purpose that's so compelling, it literally organizes your entire life around it. Could be building a business from scratch, mastering an instrument, getting good at coding, training for a triathlon. Whatever it is, it's your why. It's the thing that gets you out of bed in the morning, and it has absolutely nothing to do with who's watching.
And here's the really cool part. When you have a mission like that, all these attractive qualities, they just happen. They're natural byproducts. You don't have to pretend to be busy or play games. When you're actually focused on building that business, your time is scarce. Your attention becomes selective. It's not an act. It's the organic result of living a life with purpose.
And this right here is such a critical distinction. Artificial scarcity, playing games like waiting exactly 2 hours to text back, that's just a tactic, it's reactive. But structural scarcity, that's the real deal. That's when you're genuinely occupied because you are building a life you care about. One is a game, the other is your reality.
Okay, this next quote is basically a law you should write down. Never negotiate attraction. The moment you argue for your value, you confirm that it is not self-evident. It's so powerful. Your value should just be. It should be obvious from your actions and your direction. The second you find yourself in a debate trying to convince someone of your worth, you've already lost. You've shown them you're not even convinced.
And that idea that you don't need to argue for your own value flows perfectly into our next section, the art of detachment. This is all about the power of what we're going to call sovereignty.
All right, this is a huge one. People mix these two up all the time. Indifference is not attractive. It's just empty. It pushes people away. Detachment is completely different. It's about sovereignty. It means you are whole on your own. You can still care deeply, you can connect, but your well-being isn't depending on the outcome. Your center of gravity is inside you.
And it's a very similar idea here. Emotional suppression is when you're hiding your feelings because you're scared. But emotional restraint, that's a choice. That's strength. It's about feeling everything fully, but having the self-command not to just leak it everywhere or make someone else responsible for your emotions. That's what creates that sense of depth and stability people are drawn to.
So a great way to think about all this is the idea of an emotional economy. Just imagine your attention, your emotions, your availability. They're like money. They are resources. And if you just hand them out indiscriminately to everyone, they become worthless. You have to spend them deliberately. That's how they maintain their value. Okay, so how do you actually enforce your standards without a bunch of drama? Well, it's not about big, angry confrontations. It's actually a really simple, almost logistical process. 1, a standard is crossed. 2, you withdraw your investment. That means your time, your energy. 3, no emotional debates about it. And 4, your path, your mission, it just keeps moving forward. Your action becomes the message. It's that simple.
All right, so having a mission and practicing this art of detachment, that's what creates the initial spark. But how do you keep it going? How do you sustain it? Well, that brings us to our final section, attraction's long game, how we go from that spark to real, lasting stability. And here is the absolute key for the long haul. Tactics, games, they all have an expiration date. You just can't keep up an act forever. Long-term sustainable attraction isn't renewed by tactics. It's renewed by your trajectory. It's renewed by the fact that you are still growing, still moving forward, still expanding as a person. This quote right here is a massive warning against a super common trap. Never let intimacy replace direction. You know, as you get comfortable with someone, it's so easy to let your own mission, your own path, just kind of fade into the background. But the moment you start sacrificing your own direction just to keep the peace, you're actually eroding the very foundation of the attraction that was there in the first place.
Let's talk about arguments for a second. The goal isn't to win the argument. In fact, if you win but you lose your composure, you've actually lost the whole thing. What really preserves attraction is showing that even when things get heated, you can maintain your composure, that your internal state isn't just a puppet of external circumstances.
So what is the bedrock of this entire way of thinking? Well, it all comes down to self-command. And this isn't something you just switch on when you're on a date. No, this is the daily, grinding, unseen work. It's a disciplined body, a sharpened mind, a schedule that's actually built around your objectives. It's having a consistent character and taking the time in solitude to get your perspective back. This is what makes you the prize in reality, not just in some act you're putting on.
And that brings us right back to the beginning, really. This final quote just sums up the whole philosophy perfectly. Nature respects what continues forward regardless. See, it's not about trying to be liked or hoping to be chosen. It's about building a life that has so much forward momentum, so much of its own gravity, that attraction just naturally follows.
So I'm going to leave you with one final question to really think about. Take an honest look at your life, your schedule, your habits, what you prioritize every single day. Is your life built to be chosen by someone else, or is it built to move forward? Because honestly, the answer to that question, it changes everything.